and turn it over to Michelle for the announcements. Sorry, to Madam Vice Chair for the announcements.
This meeting is being recorded by the recording clerk for the purpose of taking minutes. Is there anyone else present who wishes to record the meeting? Seeing none. To the attendees of the meeting, a sign-in sheet is being circulated. The board asks that you please sign in to indicate your attendance at today's meeting. The select board meetings can be viewed by going into the cable videos icon on the homepage of the town's website. And lastly, on Monday, September 8th, the board will hold a meeting at 7 p.m. The next select board work session will be on September 15th at 6 p.m. Please check the meeting postings on the town website for information to either join via Zoom or for the location of that particular meeting work session.
All right, are there any questions from the audience not related to an agenda item? Shockingly, no. Okay, then we will turn to our minutes.
Well, I'm gonna screw things up. We only have 3 people. I can't vote on the 30th because I wasn't here.
Makes sense. All right, we can make a motion to approve the minutes of the select board meeting held on July 21st, 2025.
As edited?
Your edits made it into the version that's out there now.
Okay, all right. Set first. Oh wait, do we have a you made a motion?
Yeah, I made the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All those absent? Just kidding. Alright, new business, we've got the TCP one-day liquor license. Do I turn it over to Mr. Hartunian?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like years past, we've had a successful season of homegrown markets. This Wednesday, next couple days, we're gonna have our concluding homegrown market this Wednesday, 5 to 7. Encourage everybody to come down. One of the elements that we are looking to incorporate for the final event this week would be, like we've done in the past, incorporate a beer truck to be present for the activities on the common. In years past, our partnership with the Topsfield Community Partnership and their representative Sarah Guido has allowed us the opportunity for their sponsorship of the event. And once again, we're here to ask approval to be able to have the event this Wednesday and to have the beer truck present. Scott Hovey's here as well, I will introduce him. He's our interim rec director, started in July and has picked up the ball and ran with it. So a phenomenal job on short notice, putting a lot together. I just talked to a lot of the vendors myself at the events, and they've all been very, very happy with being a part of it. And this is, like I said, I know Scott working with Sarah have been able to Beowulf Brewery out of Amesbury will be the beer provider at the event.
It's nice to have a local provider there. I trust you've tested it, so you've quality tested it already.
I have not, but I'm assuming it's delicious.
We'll all find out Wednesday.
The only thing I think, as I noticed, you know, it says on the application we have to have these 30 days ahead of time. We're talking about an event coming up in a few days, no, a couple days. But I understand that is our deference, that is not a written rule or bylaw. So that's on the application is the suggestion.
It is our target, and it's what we ask others and ourselves to be able to hit. We found over the years though with the homegrown market and having the vendors commit, sometimes those commitments don't happen until days before, a week or two before, just by the nature of the event.
Makes sense.
And so as a result, years past, we've come to the board days in advance or a week or two in advance asking for support and approval for the one-day liquor license.
Okay, so this needs a motion of some sort. I move that we vote to approve the application from the Topsfield Community Partnership for a one-day liquor license for the homegrown market to be held on Wednesday, August 20th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Topsfield Town Common in Topsfield, Mass. Malt beverages will be served.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alright, passes.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Yes, I hope the event is a great success.
It
So,
will be.
and we'll try to promote it.
Yeah, should
Excellent.
have our most vendors there, we're really excited, so thank you.
Good.
No hurricanes.
Hurricanes.
No, that's not malt beverage, right? That's liquor?
Oh.
Hurricanes.
None of those either.
Nice.
Alright, next up, we have our favorite topic, the public hearing for the Evermore Pierce Farms new liquor license. Town of Topsfield Select Board legal notice in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 15A, notice is hereby given that the Topsfield Select Board, as the licensing authority, will hold a public meeting on Monday, June 30th, 2025 at 7 p.m. to act on a request for an on-premises all alcohol beverage license by the following applicant: Michael Gallant of Topsfield Functions LLC, DBA Evermore at Pierce Farm Estate, located at 116 Boston Street, Topsfield, Massachusetts, signed by myself, Raphael McDonald, Select Board Chair.
Now, initially, I was a little confused by this, that we're having public hearings on June 30th, 2025 tonight.
That's when we opened the public hearing?
Right, I eventually figured that out.
Okay, alright. So my understanding is they are still working on parts of the application. ALAC is meeting next week.
This week.
This Wednesday.
This
This
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So we should be having recommendations for them before our next meeting, and I think at that point, maybe we'll have everything we need. I would suggest then that we continue the meeting at least one more time.
Is that a motion or a suggestion?
Discussion.
I'm in favor of that.
Alright,
And I'll make a motion to vote to continue the public hearing to September 8th, 2025.
Second.
alright, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, and then in sticking with that, for item C, I would suggest we also table the Evermore at Pierce Farm application for a common victualler's license until the same time, so.
But this is all squared away and ready, right? Is there any issues with this one?
So I did have a chance to speak, Mr. Chairman, sorry, I can address, I had a chance to talk with the applicant, Mike Gallant, who's the new owner of the Pierce Farm property. He is aware that Wednesday of this week, there will be an ALAC meeting, that he may attend to be able to answer specific questions. Expect there to be a written commentary memo from the ALAC that will be received much in advance to our next meeting on the 8th, that can be reviewed. And then his expectation would be that hopefully at that time it'll be taken up, and at that time his lawyer himself will likely be present for that meeting. But as for the application itself, I know he's met with the police chief, I believe he spoke with the fire chief, spoke with myself and others on the member. He's gone to a prior ALAC meeting, and the application on its surface at this time, there's no issues that have been identified. However, defer to ALAC to provide a little more detailed response to what the application has, and if there's things that the board should consider in making any recommendations for specific conditions that are put onto the license.
So is that the long way of saying that even though this conceivably could be acted on tonight, it makes sense to put that off as well?
Typically, ALAC, process-wise, application will come in, gets sent to ALAC to
I
review.
think he means the common vic's
Victual.
license.
Oh, just the common victual license?
Yeah.
We've married them together for the purposes of this to allow Mike the opportunity to come in and speak to both when the time's right.
Right, so fine, we can delay. So there's no known issues with this, with the Evermore Farms,
Not that we've identified at this time, but like I said, we've looked at it at a certain level, the ALAC will take a deeper dive.
The ALAC did have an initial recommendation letter that is on board docs. They identified a few things that they would like to see changed. And that's when the Evermore said, hey, we'll get you this stuff, we'll get you this stuff.
Yeah, cause it's not often that applicants would bring a lawyer.
No, it is for a liquor license, not. I don't believe the only other license we've issued for on-site consumption since I've been here in recent times was for the Topsfield Fair. They elected not to use a lawyer, they didn't have a lawyer present at the meetings, if I remember correctly.
I wasn't here either.
So
Doug?
So it typically with a liquor license, if it's done right and done well, they'll hire support staff to help them put it together to make sure they're
Okay,
not.
so that's not a cause for alarm then?
Not at all.
Okay.
It's actually preferred that people hire professional help to go through the process, cause there's a lot of elements of the bylaws and such.
Section 330, Article 5.
I'm sure
Teed that one up for you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, nice. Good job.
So that's usually, it's certainly the preferred option. Not everyone does it, but it's certainly the
Alright,
most efficient way to do business.
But I would say you don't need a hard copy if you are curious. There are policies that includes the history of getting licenses as far back as when Topsfield was dry in 2002, I think. So,
yeah, I don't know.
but it's got a pretty prescriptive list. I would not say exhaustive of the things that we as a board have to ensure are in place before we can vote for it. So some light reading sometime, section 330. And also, I think just to echo what Kevin was saying, this isn't something that happens very often.
So are they operating now or are they suspending pending this?
They're operating under how the prior owner operated, which was third-party state licensed vendors
Okay.
are providing alcohol facilities.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll table that. Next up is the Dean and Flynn DBA Fiesta Shows Sunday licenses. And
I didn't realize we needed a separate license for them.
So, Mr. Chairman, each year, standard operating procedure ahead of the fair, number of licenses are required. We approved one-day licenses for the beer garden a couple weeks ago. The midway, the carnival section of the fair comes in every year, and I believe it's an extension of from 10 to 11.
It's for the 2 Sundays.
2 Sunday
For 2
activities, yeah.
Sundays,
And it lists the number of
Rides and
activities that rides and games, thank you, that are will be present at the fair.
Cause there's 2 licenses here, 2 pairs of documents. One is for the 3rd and the 13th and the other is for the 5th and the 12th. And I didn't, so the 3rd and the 3rd,
no, they should be both for both Sundays. Do they have a typo?
So
on
they
them?
do have a typo on the back of the public entertainment, but the front page is right, and this is what the state says.
Okay. And
Fifth
we
and
will
the
vote on
12th.
the correct dates.
Correct.
the 5th. So there's two pairs of documents there, is one pair just wrong?
So they're double-sided. So the back of one is wrong, you are correct.
So we really only need one document back and front that's correct.
Nope, one is for games and one is for rides.
Aha,
They both are for both
Okay.
dates, just Sundays to make sure that they do not
I did not put these together.
compete against our
okay.
Christian ideals that have existed in this town for almost 375 years, evidently.
So this is like one of those puzzles where find the difference between these two.
Yeah,
And you won.
did you find it?
No, I didn't see the games versus rides. I
one-
did see the dates that were wrong. But anyway.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do? We can vote on we can vote on these two pending, including correction of the dates on the one.
Issuing them at the dates that are the, what did we say, it was the 3rd and 13th?
5th and 12th, it's
5th and
in the
12th,
motion,
sorry.
it says
Yeah.
the 5th and 12th, right?
The licenses themselves are accurate.
So I do not do this, this is from the state. So I don't know if we're allowed to condition anything on these because this is from the state, not from me, so.
Oh,
I was given
state
this, I
law.
was given this.
And I don't know that we need to if the license is correct and our motion is correct.
Right.
If their application is wrong, we're just fixing it for them.
5th and the 12th.
Yeah, I think if you cover just that, this is the dates that are being proposed, which are the 2 Sundays.
Then we're good.
Since we have a right in the motion, I will make a motion for item D to vote to approve Dean and Flynn doing business as Fiesta Show's request for an amusement games license on 2 Sundays, October 5th and 12th, 2025, from 10 a.m. until 11 p.m. at the Topsfield Fairgrounds during the Topsfield Fair.
Second.
Should I just,
Any other discussion? We gotta vote on that
oh,
one
yeah,
first.
yeah, okay.
Any other discussion? Just to make sure, I went back and this is the same motion with different dates, the application is the same, almost everything is exactly the same as last year. I went back to my notes from last year where I said, how does this differ from last year? And there was no difference, so this has been pretty.
The dates from last year,
Huh?
probably the dates from last year that's on the back.
Oh, you're probably right.
Alright, so any other discussion on the first motion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Will I continue?
Sure. So I'll make a motion to vote to approve Dean and Flynn doing business as Fiesta Show's request for an amusement rides license on 2 Sundays, October 5th and 12th, 2025, from 10 a.m. until 11 p.m. at the Topsfield Fairgrounds during the Topsfield Fair.
I'll second that again. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay,
Just for the our own files, can you just kind of cross out the wrong dates on the application and write in the right ones and
Post-it note?
I'll put a post-it note on it,
post it? There we go.
put a post-it note,
Okay,
a compromise, I can do that.
okay, thanks.
and we're recorded.
True.
Yeah.
And minutes.
Next, I think that's it until we get to the goals, right? We're not doing the other thing?
So ASFE contract is all but one line ready to go, but we ran out of time before tonight's meeting to be able to
Okay.
take it up. I did meet with the representatives from the library this afternoon, waiting for one confirmation from KP Law, and then we'll have something. Everyone's on board with the 8th being our next meeting, being the meeting where we take it up.
Okay.
And everyone will have plenty of time to review that.
Great, much appreciated. Alright, so that brings us to the main event of the evening, town goals. And let's see, with 3 of us here instead of 5, we can probably get through this in 15 minutes.
I would say it.
So, we'll have to make sure we keep track of the time that we utilize for this meeting, just to remind our colleagues.
Yes, exactly. I believe the phrase you're looking for is rub it in their face. Alright, so we got through 3 and 4 last time, and that led us to 5. Resident amenities and constituent services. I have a note here that says possibly going to be combined with 3 later on, but I don't know,
Town
let's take
goals.
5 first.
5. Just too frivolous.
So the only thing that's under here is sidewalk and bike lane connectivity. This has been on, I think, at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Somebody
I
was
remember-
saying.
I remember this from last year at least.
Yeah, and I think it was on the year before that too, and we've done nothing on it. It's just, my recollection is correct, is that people wanted to have better sidewalk connectivities. That's right, it came up with mention of the pocket park, that there would be kids specifically on Bear Hill Road and other roads riding their bikes. And they were concerned. I think this is just something we should do, but
Is there a process for requests for sidewalk extensions that citizens would put in, or what is the process for raising the issue of installing more sidewalks someplace?
So, to be frank, we haven't had many, if any, requests specifically. I know School Ave right now, we're talking about putting a sidewalk there.
Yeah.
Because of the added amenity and the foot traffic that it could generate for safety. We've had conversations on Wenham Road, but there's not really adequate right of way to be able to do that. And it's a very tight road how it is, so you'd be taking land and moving stone walls, which we're not gonna do. We've also had a conversation when we were talking with MassDOT on the bridge near Seward School and adding sidewalks there, but when we met on site with the neighbors, there was actually a number of people said that we don't want to see a single tree taken down, we don't want the sidewalk, so we pivoted on not doing that. Connectivity is really important for safety purposes, but also to encourage people to walk and enjoy the community if they can. And I think that this is something we've had as a goal for a few years now, that's stayed on. But as a priority and based on response from the community, hasn't been something that we've made our top priority per se.
So someone in or around the select board circle had some ideas. They didn't work out when they looked at them a little closer or talked to the nearby residents. So basically, we don't have any outstanding ideas that were floated at this point.
my understanding was the first step was to sit with Gary with a map and understand where we have sidewalks and where we don't, and where it might make sense to put them, just like Mr. Hartunian was saying. That's as far as I think we've gotten in the last 2 years.
And again, it's Topsfield is a very unique community because it is spaced out, it's rural in nature in a lot of places. We have a busy downtown, we do have Route 1. But a lot of the places where people live are not in those areas per se, they're spread out. So yes, I mean, we haven't looked at the map because, road acceptances and
Yeah.
things of that nature have taken a priority. Bridge and culverts is another example. We did a study with TC using ARPA money to identify the top bridges and culverts we wanted to potentially address over the coming years, which can be used with Ipswich River Watershed Association, who sources many grants for us, and we can see where we have an overlap of our priorities and their priorities and source some funding for those, and we've done that on Pond Street and we're looking at some others. So again, it hasn't been the priority.
You think about it, most of the inter-town roads or the through street roads on the west side of Route 1 have some sort of sidewalk on them. Most of the length, it's on the east side of Route 1, there's not as many sidewalks.
Well, I
But-
think the sidewalk ends at Washington Street, for example, it doesn't go all the way into Boxford.
Doesn't go all the way to the town line here.
Yeah, but for the most part, yeah.
But the core area is pretty much all sidewalked. I know it's hard to get excited about this if there's not citizen requests to stimulate
It's a good
the
point.
search and the possible spending.
Right,
You're from the bicycling community. Are you guys hearing things?
I feel like it was also in the master plan.
I was just gonna mention that, there was some sort of, I don't remember the name of it, but there was some sort of grant that went to Gary a few years ago about,
Yeah, okay.
I forget, Kevin would remember, but something about creating sidewalks for connectivity purposes or something like that. But I think he spent it all.
Hmm.
During our master plan discussions, the Stewart School one.
What was the name of that grant that Gary had received a few years ago about, I forget the name, but there was a name of it for creating sidewalks and connectivity? Safe streets and something like that.
Well, we've, I think once applied for Safe Routes to School grant, which would help build sidewalks. I don't think that's the one you. I
But
will
Carrie
say,
spent it.
I will say the bike lanes though are one that we have had more requests on. You know, we talked about sidewalks predominantly so far in the conversation. We have had, I'd say 1 or 2 a year, people ask about additional markings for bicycles. And we do look at that when we pave, if we can. We haven't done formal markings because again, Topsfield roads are pretty narrow generally speaking. To fit a proper sized bike lane on both sides, we'd have to take some land or expand out.
Yeah,
So we've avoided that, but we've moved our fog lines and made the roads a little bit tighter, either by 6 to 12 inches, giving bikers a little bit more space on
yeah,
the.
it seems like there's enough room outside the white line for a single file bike.
In many places. I
In
mean,
many
Wenham
places.
Road, there's no lines. I mean, it's a tight road, winding,
Yeah,
narrow, but
I would just mention that by law, cyclists are not required to ride on the other side of that fog line. We are entitled to the lane. Just thought I'd mention that.
really.
And cars are by law 4 feet distance
Yes.
in passing.
Only thing I had under this sidewalk, which we talked about earlier today, is I'll term it sidewalk safety. Meaning whatever's allowed on the sidewalk or what's not allowed on the sidewalk being dirt bikes and e-bikes. But I don't know if that necessarily needs to be a goal, it's just more of something that we're working through. As e-bikes are not legally allowed to be on sidewalks.
You know, speaking of e-bikes and these electric scooters, yeah, I'm seeing more and more of these going what looks to be 25, 35 miles an hour in the road. And clearly, I suspect that none of these are licensed drivers, but they have a motorized vehicle going at, motorized vehicles, local speeds in the road. I mean, we haven't really had any accidents that I'm aware of.
we had one a couple years ago, it was pretty significant. Employee's son actually was some tough shape in an accident with a e-bike, motorized. I think it's we see them. They're out there. They're more prevalent than they've ever been. A few years ago, we were talking about youths on their bicycles and riding and weaving inside of the road, not wearing bicycle helmets, popping wheelies. When school's out of session, we see more of it. And when
Naturally.
certain groups of youth get their licenses, their habits change as well. And for the last couple of years, we haven't had many issues, but we do see the e-bikes and the motorized bikes being more prevalent and more aggressively used in some of the areas specifically in the downtown.
Did you see that news story tonight about in downtown Boston in the Central Artery Tunnel and on the Zachem Bridge and so forth, there's 100
Hundreds.
kids on bicycles that basically stop traffic.
We haven't had
One
that.
got arrested.
But I guess the question is, to Bob's point, we don't feel excited about this one. I also don't feel excited about taking away, but I know just leaving it there, it'll fall by the wayside again. So,
It's always something we strive for is the infrastructure investments to make sure people can traverse safely.
yeah,
Like I said, there's examples where people have asked us not to make those improvements in certain issues, not always. And the mechanism would be for people to come to the traffic advisory committee as a first step, or if they come to us, revert to them to to do a site walk, put some expertise on it and make a recommendation on any treatments necessary. We're always looking at sidewalks whenever it comes for improving a road. We actually we talked about this at the beginning, 10 School Ave and access down there is gonna be something we're looking at. We're gonna work on that. It's one sidewalk, we're pretty confident we'll get done this year. The bikes, to your point, Mr. Chair, it doesn't hurt to keep it on as sort of a general, something that we incorporate in what we do.
So I'm not against this idea that you mentioned, Raphael, of having Gary come in and give us an illustration on where there's sidewalks and where there's not, and what appear to be the likely prospects that might arise from that overlook, but so let's take that to the next couple of steps. So let's say we did that, we identified several prime locations for that. Do we have money?
Yeah,
those,
subject,
to
subject
build
to
those.
funding. So it's either we would apply for connected streets grants or whatever they're called, or ask town meeting for money to do something about it. Cause it also depends, like, oh, this is town land and there's plenty of room and we just gotta put some pavement down versus, no, this is somebody else's land, we'd have to buy it. It would be 10 times more expensive, there's no infrastructure, blah, 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 blah.
Eminent domain, encroach on
Yeah.
their first 10 feet or whatever.
Which I certainly would not be in favor of, so. I think it's just where do we think they make sense? Where would we like to see them and what can we do about it? So. Let's
So
leave
you're
it
kind of
there.
leaning towards keeping it.
I guess, yeah,
Maybe we change the word, take steps to plan for addressing, or take steps to evaluate need for additional sidewalk and bike lane connectivity. I can see that didn't excite you.
excuse me, sorry. Sure, I mean, it gets the same spirit across, but. I don't know, I'd say maybe leave it there and then see what shakes out. Cause again, part of what I think we need to do is we're gonna have to cut all these down. We've got too many sub bullet points to
Yeah.
be able to focus and see where it shakes out.
Well, I don't wanna leave anything on there unless we think we're really gonna make an effort to do it. And if we would leave that on there, and the logical first step is Gary come in and talk with an illustration of where sidewalks are and talk about the likely prospects with us. If we're not gonna do at least that, I would say let's not put it on.
If it's helpful, I have a couple suggestions for other
Okay.
possible
suggestions.
subcategories to this topic, cause I know we have one and it might be a little.
Flesh it out a little.
There's 4 more,
There are?
yeah, on board docs.
More goals than just the one.
No, and there's
Oh,
one
Michelle's.
on mine.
Oh, Michelle's.
I added a few.
Oh, okay, good. So maybe between the two of us, we'll have some more than
So-
a blank.
So
Some
we have to-
actionable items.
Yeah.
You have to look at Doug's version.
Doug, no, I don't know why, it says Doug Link, cause that's the computer I'm
All these edits are by Doug Link.
on.
Doug is, I said, boy, Doug's really volunteering his time, that's great.
Alright,
Ghost
make
Rider.
improvements at the corner of Main Street and Park Street, approved October 21st, 2024.
That was already done, right, so we're gonna consider that one?
Yeah, we did the plantings, we
Yeah,
leveled
it's done.
out, we reset some of the granite benches.
And since it was done, we can't consider it anymore.
Yeah, so I think I just copied from the original and just.
You could-
Make improvements to the Proctor School baseball infield, I think we spent all the money to do that already.
No, that was already there, I just added partially complete, cause are we gonna do the baseball field? Cause we did the softball.
Correct.
Right.
So what our plan is, we brought up actually this morning in our department meeting, Dr. Morrison was here, we've been working beginning of the spring on loosely a master plan of how we're gonna upgrade the grounds on Proctor Field. As you know, we did the tot lot, we've made investments now at the tennis courts. Those are things that we control, those aren't school jurisdiction. We've been working with the schools since that time in April to try to master plan the rest of the facilities, specifically the grounds. Right now, they're looking at septic and septic needs, cause the current septic's underneath where the basketball court is, and we're hoping that there's abilities to put a new septic system where the swings are before the baseball field. If that's the case, then we can make the investments on the fields. If that's not an available option, then we're limited on other locations, and that might influence what we make for improvements, cause we wouldn't wanna redo, say, the baseball field, find out the only place it perks and the only place to locate a septic system might be on the baseball field, cause then we might have to realign or redo it. So once we have that, which I believe has come back, we are setting up a meeting that Sam was helping with between the superintendent of schools, the DPW superintendent, myself. And Scott Hovey, who we talked to earlier, about can we start moving on the master plan. We do have some money left over in an article from 3 years ago to improve the fields, not a lot, it's like $8,000, we won't cover the whole of it. But we do have some generous residents who are willing to pitch in to help contribute financially to making some of the improvements that would help with the baseball field, as well as adding potentially dugouts and improving the bleachers and even scoreboards.
Yeah, I can say from experience that if they redo the septic to having the leach field under an area that you wanna grow grass, it's actually helpful.
Good.
Good point.
Don't wanna play baseball in that though.
It worked fine in my backyard.
It's the leach field, it's not the septic.
And sorry, I missed this. Do you have a timing for when they're looking to get that septic in?
So it's not, no improvements are necessary now, but the existing system is very old. And so we're planning for the future and making sure we have capacity. If one of the basketball courts fail,
Yeah.
we can then pivot. Honestly, we thought it was gonna be in June. It's been an action item that our partners at the schools have been working on, and we're waiting just to get that feedback. They hired a consultant to help them confirm a location that's appropriate.
Okay.
I think we're meeting.
Cost
Did we
estimate,
say the 8th or the 4th?
Before.
September 4th, I have a meeting with the superintendent and Gary Wilds.
you get cost estimates from the consultant?
General, but what we're looking for is at this point, again, cause nothing's failed. If
Right.
the existing system failed, we're gonna have to do it. It's just, we wanna know where we're gonna locate it now so we can make the improvements around it.
Right.
And not invest in an area that was gonna be needed later on,
Right.
especially with the age. If we just put a new septic system in a handful of years ago, we might not be thinking about this, making the improvements and then waiting, decades before a potential failure. But because it's older, it's good planning.
Yeah, you don't wanna improve it to have it get ripped up.
So I had marked, that was one that I had as well, was the Proctor School
Oh, gotcha.
grounds.
Okay. The other one I had was install cameras at the Pocket Park fields and anywhere else to discourage vandalism. I know we talked about installing cameras before, so I don't know if that's a goal that we can put on here or not. And if it's cost prohibitive.
I don't know, when did we talk about cameras before? I don't remember that, doesn't mean it didn't happen.
I don't know if it was in a meeting or if it was on a side conversation,
I think Mr. Wilds might have been here and spoke a little bit about
maybe.
a trail cam for Lake Pie and.
Oh, right, you're right.
It's part of a broader conversation, but was mentioned.
Okay.
It is something he's looking at, getting cameras to put in locations. We've had, if you remember them, they drove donuts at Pie Brook.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of vandalism. They did the donuts at Pie Brook. We talked about putting cameras in and looking at locking the fences at night, things of that nature.
So can we change install to evaluate, or is that too slow? I mean, I just don't know that we're sold on cameras yet.
I was gonna say, maybe just say something that would be
Decide
enhancements
whether
to, enhancements to safety or security, enhancements to security at our public spaces.
Yeah, no, that works.
Yeah, I'm kinda getting a little more relaxed about the integrity of the pocket park, after a number of months. You know, I was originally worried, maybe the umbrellas will disappear, whatever,
Yeah.
but that doesn't seem to be the case, and it's pretty well lit, and the central location is probably these outlying public spaces, they're a little more at risk.
I'll tell you, it was amazing, a couple weeks ago, I went up to Pie Brook to watch the meteor shower.
Oh.
And I didn't see any because I got attacked by mosquitoes, but there were people up there playing frisbee golf with glow in the dark discs
Really?
at
Interesting,
9:30 at night.
wow. I thought
Crazy.
they put a chain across it or
They
something at some
do,
point
and I
in
think
time.
there's a sign that says park closes at dusk.
It wasn't with a chain or anything, you just drive right in?
No, and I went on through Bear Hill, so even that side was open.
Oh,
I didn't know there were two sides.
Anyways, that was an aside.
interesting.
So, alright, so we'll keep that on there as make some sort of improvements. And then install recently acquired robotic lawnmowers.
They're out and running right now. All the ones in the portfolio are out. And we expect to have, thanks to the support of the state delegation, one more mama, daddy, bigger, larger,
So instead of install, that should have said name.
No, no. We're gifted 2 lawnmowers. Those are up and running now?
I believe they are. They're doing the infield at Pi, I think.
Oh, they are.
I think so, yes.
The infield.
I thought that they weren't up and running yet, but. maybe-
Pretty certain, 85-90% certain, but we can double check.
Okay, so if they aren't up and running, this applies.
Get them up and running.
So do you have to program them for a specific space and that's what they're used at? You can't-
Geofence, they basically type in the coordinates, they map it, and then they mow it.
Okay.
Pretty great.
It
I
is
thought it
cool.
was smart enough so when it saw a fence or dirt, it would turn around, but no.
So if it sees a sweatshirt or if it sees anything that would be impactful, it will actually stop, wait for it to see if it moves, like if it's an animal or a person. If it doesn't, it then goes around, does the rest, and then before it plugs back in, it comes back to any locations it's had to reroute, assuming that someone might have left a sweatshirt down, they maybe picked it up. And if it's no longer there, they'll mow it, and if not, they'll turn around and go back to its home. It is pretty incredible technology.
If you haven't had a chance, go up to Pie Brook in the morning and get your coffee, go to Pie Brook. It is pretty amazing.
I've been up there when it was running. It was in the outfield, I think it was last year actually.
They're really great options.
Yeah, just too bad I don't get a chance to try it at my house, but
You don't need to
Yeah.
worry about that now.
no.
The team's done a great job too. I mean, that's freed up a lot of capacity. We were always trying to catch up on the list of to-dos. And we still are. There's always more work than time. But we've been able to pivot and I was in the Pocket Park this afternoon with Vice Chair Mercier Link. And we had some issues over a week ago with some skid marks from some e-bikes. Those were cleaned up. In addition to that, beds were weeded. Everything was in really great shape. Flowers are up on the new light poles that were installed. It was looking very sharp. And that's a result of having the capacity to add a day of going up and being present to Alex on our DPW teams, the one responsible for that. He's done a great job.
You know, speaking of lawns, this is somewhat of an aside, but and it may be the wrong audience or the wrong speaker, but you know, I read where, especially in the hot, dry weather, it's better to mow your lawn less frequently and let it grow longer. Is that a theory that holds any water with the
Holds water dry.
with the team here?
When we a few years ago put together a working group, Sarah Guido was there, members of our community are professionals when it comes to groundskeeping, working at country clubs, professors at North Shore Community College, people who came together to say, all right, Clock Park needs some work. We've addressed Pie Brook in many ways. Get the irrigation now up there, which is huge. Irrigation is everything, getting the water. How can we address Clock? And one of the things we heard was mowing it on a regular basis. Never was differentiated dry season, wetter season. It was always just you need to mow every few days at the minimum. At the time, our capacity is once out of every 10 days, roughly.
Every few days, wow.
Yeah, so basically now we have a piece of equipment that can go out every night if needed. Do a section, half of it one night, the other half the next, or what have you. And the results have been phenomenal. I mean, if you go up to the parks, they look night and day from what they were at Clock Park, Pie
I should
Brook.
go take a look, yeah, okay,
It's come a long way. A lot of people behind the scenes sharing their expertise to help us get there.
okay.
Alright, so that was it for resident amenities, constituent services. We got 5 of them.
So we're gonna leave the bikes. What do we end up with? Make him,
Oh, right, we don't have 5, cause B got removed,
Right.
was already done. Improvements to the Proctor's school baseball field becomes
Partial.
improvements to Proctor School grounds, playgrounds.
Proctor School grounds improvements. I could come up with some
Yeah,
language.
but it'll stay there.
Something
but that's gotta be in conjunction with the The septic evaluation.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
bundle that. First step is getting septic, second step is funding and the defining the plan.
Okay.
And also, cause if they're like, yeah, you're gonna need a whole new septic and it's gonna be the baseball, this might not be, we might, after that evaluation, know we can't do anything.
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, or you can rebuild the baseball field as part of finishing the grounds after a leach field is
Well,
installed.
it's another Eagle Scout project or two.
That's bigger than that.
I had one other I want to suggest, and it's just a suggestion because it's recent in my head from a meeting we had this afternoon.
Yep.
We are planning our 375th anniversary
Oh, yeah.
this fall for the incorporation of Topsfield. 1650 is our anniversary date. Actually October 16th, which is the day it was incorporated, also shared by Martha Morrison, her birthday. That-
Oh my gosh.
But she's not 350.
no,
Oh, goodness.
she does watch. So yeah. So, but we have a great working group and we've been working on planning an event later this year in October. And then subsequently, in the first half of next calendar year, before the 4th of July, doing a number of events or adding on to existing events for the 250th anniversary of our country. And so we talk about amenities in this category as well as constituent services. I thought that might be something, it's a one-off this year, we wouldn't likely need it next year as a goal, but it's something that I know is a priority project for us this year.
Yeah.
So I had events or programming around the 375th and 250th anniversaries.
375th, okay.
Okay.
Wow, can't even figure how far that is, 375.
Alright, anything else to add on number 5? And again, what I'm gonna do, or my intention is that we rank these, I don't know, top 3 or 4 under each. And then probably like top 10 or top 12 overall. I'll ask each of the board members to do, cause we got way too many. We're definitely gonna have to cut.
Well, here we had a chance to eliminate a whole category, instead we
added-
quintupled it.
Good point.
One of the things we've done in the past, and Mr. Chair, if it's okay, is we're tracking all the comments and changes. We'll put a clean version together and we try to work in consolidating some that are similar as well. I know we've had some specific conversations, but just for put something out there to consider and then we can always revert back or make more modifications, but we'll try to follow your lead in trying to make sure it's tight as possible.
Yeah, but don't combine just to combine them, because if you have to check off 4 different things to check off one thing, right?
Oh no, of course, it would be ones that are similar in nature that we've
Yeah.
talked about that we can try to.
I think we did identify, and I'd forgotten this because I re-identified it this morning, 2 that were almost literal repeats of 2 previous ones, so those kind of things could come out.
Alright, so then moving on to sustainability. Completing the LED streetlight conversion. This will save us money and energy, so
better
I
light.
know we're a little bit at National Grids, but things have been moving, so
They have, so it's been approved, update, it's been approved, town signed off on it, ready to go. National Grid was, we're waiting for them to give us basically we're
Who does that? Do they do it or do we do it?
National Grid does it 100% on their,
So we're really at their mercy.
we are, that's the complicated factor of it.
There's not really anything we can do other than nag them.
We're
then we'll do that.
we're pretty good at that sometimes too. But and we have been. I know Chief Collins Brown and I spoke last week. We spoke again today as well about where we are. And so it's a priority. It's been on our list for some time, and to your point, Mr. Chair, it not only provides better light output, sustainability obviously is a benefit for the amount of electricity used.
You don't have to sell us on the benefits. We're
You
just-
save a lot of money, save a lot of money. So we're really trying to push grid because our part's been completed, it's now them blind.
So could we add the words in front of that, encourage National Grid to complete?
I thought we were gonna say nag.
We say that verbally, not in writing.
It's a tough goal because again, we are at the, it's not a goal, like we've done our part,
We can't,
but
it's
I
like
think,
pushing a string.
yeah, I think it is something we wanna accomplish nonetheless, it is a town goal,
Yeah.
we wanna get that done, so.
Yeah, so we know Kevin's probably pretty good at nagging, so we'll find out.
Yeah, my-
Priority
That's my
items in the
wife.
town hall energy audit, so that was done a few years ago, how many years ago
Couple
now?
years ago, we've done a
Couple
couple,
years ago.
um,
So I think at the very least, we need to refresh our memories on what those were and then figure out what we need to do to get them done, if they need money to get behind them or what.
So, we've been through the low hanging fruit and we just need to re-stimulate the list or update the list and see what's productive.
about 3 years ago when we had the pipe burst, over the accounting and treasurer's
3
office.
years ago now.
2.5 years ago.
Winter.
It took a little time to get the improvements, but part of what we were able to do is weatherization in certain areas. For instance, underneath the stage where the leak occurred, that's now been insulated. We also have put caulking basically around the windows to prevent leakage of air. There's certain things we've done. We are in good shape when the renovations took place. You see the split units right up here. Those are higher efficiencies than the systems we were working off before. There's always more that comes with technology and more we can always do to try to increase our efficiencies, so. We can certainly look for more reports and more opportunities through National Grid. A lot of the incentives are through National Grid.
Well, I
But the
think
team's done a good job on it thus far.
the audit probably had like, hey, here's 12 things to do, and we've done, like you said, a few of them. What are the others? Like, let's not just forget that those were there. Maybe we decide those others are too expensive to do or just not practical, but.
How about update priority item list in the town hall energy audit and nominate effective candidates?
Well, I don't. Update how? I guess you cross off the ones that are
The-
already done or?
Yeah, and any others that have presented themselves as being productive now that might not have been identified previously. I don't know, has it been that much change in a few years?
But the energy audit was done by a professional
No.
service, right? I'm not opposed to it, I just don't know what we could add. Sure.
Alright, I don't care, address priority items, let's
We'll continue to address the priorities.
address
At the very
remaining.
least, we need to crack it open again and see what it
Yeah,
is we're
no, it's
dealing
fair.
with.
Yeah,
And now we do have a sustainability coordinator in town now with
Yeah.
conservation. Huge opportunity.
Oh,
How about sticking the word remaining in front of priority?
Yeah, sure. Okay, encourage, support, and evaluate the sustainability advisory committee's priorities and action items. I feel like we're still in this circular kind of thinking that the sustainability advisory committees thinks that the select board will tell them what their priorities should be and what they should work on. And the select board thinks that the SAC should be telling us what the town should be working on.
It's a combination of both at times, right?
Yeah,
There's certain projects we identify.
right.
Yeah, I mean, if you nominate people with some specialty knowledge in that area who are focused entirely on that area, I would hope they would have better ideas than I would. I don't wanna speak for you all, but certainly better ideas than I would have, so I would look for them to identify things.
Okay. We can give them that feedback too.
Um,
And they did last year come up with their 1 year and 5 year plans, which are mostly still the same. The big one, of course, being the trash rollout is not as big a focus as it was over the last year. So that work is still there. They are updating that plan right now as we speak, so I think I don't
Yeah.
know what it means in terms of this goal though. Other than to keep it like that.
I mean, this does mildly point the finger at them to come up with the ideas. It's not 100% direct, but
Right. And I think that's how it was actually envisioned, right? Was you come to us and tell us what we should be working on?
Kind of, well, it's both, right? So if we have a project that we're taking on, we could bring it to them and say, hey, what do you think of this project that we're looking to take on? At the same time, as experts in the field, they might see and do research into opportunities that Topsfield might wanna take advantage of. The schools right now, and they're having this discussion through SAC around solar on rooftops. And that's not born here necessarily, but born from there, but at a certain point they'll come and
Yeah.
pitch it and say, is this something we should pursue further? So it kinda goes both ways. They're a great resource, great expertise, passionate group of people doing a really great job.
Are you ready for an idea right now?
Um,
This Emerson Holmes thing, you know, in the long travels through the various committees, including Conscom, you know, they identified basically that the eastern third or so of what used to be the baseball fields are in the buffer zone. And at one point, I'm told the church looked at an option which was turn the whole field into a solar field. So obviously that's not gonna be done because it's not as financially productive as selling the property to this developer, but there's still that eastern third of the baseball fields that are in the buffer zone that they really can't do anything with building wise. I mean, there are some trees at the southern end of that section of the field that could block the sun somewhere, but there's probably room there to put a number of panels in. That's not our property,
Right.
but there's really no use for it, no developable use, so they might be open to the idea.
I'm not sure either. It would be that Emerson, right? The Holmes and Caleb would have to pursue it, but I'm
Yeah,
not.
whoever the owner is for Caleb.
Right, and they would. I know that they are looking to do a lot of energy efficient elements, charging stations,
Solar on the roof.
so on the roof, and they're gonna have to be stretch code now because of the timing of when they're doing the project. They're gonna have to adhere to a higher standard of efficiencies. But they would need to get authorization through the Conservation Commission, obviously, if they're in jurisdiction. And I'm not sure if, even though they're not necessarily digging a foundation, if putting solar would be allowed or not. It's an interesting question, cause you are disturbing an area. Sometimes
I'd
you,
love to see the Conscom be against solar panels, that would be,
You can't cut down a forest, or you're not supposed to cut down a forest, especially in a wetlands to put in
I'm not proposing cutting anything down.
But I think for me, the bigger thing is the sustainability advisory committees looked, when they've talked about solar, we've talked about community solar and where can we put it. The focus has really been much more on property that the town controls. And the biggest, one of the biggest ones is the schools, which is why we started there, or why they started there.
Yeah, there's always the risk of roof penetrations, always makes me nervous.
So, I don't know, do we wanna change anything on C? I would leave that one.
It seems alright to
I
me.
agree.
Alright, an estimate of townwide carbon emissions, keep track of savings implemented. I think we did this many years ago, a carbon budget.
Does that include private sector? It says town-wide.
Yeah, good question. No, I was just writing.
I can't imagine
Yeah.
approaching all the homeowners saying, tell me what you
No,
develop,
yeah,
use
it
of carbon.
would probably be town controlled or whatever.
Yeah.
I think is what I was envisioning.
How would we do that? Do you have to have a consultant do it?
idea.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea.
yes, that's,
You have a
it
consultant.
would be a heavy lift, and not a very appropriate lift, but a heavy lift, so you probably have to use a consultant line item if we have funds available and have somebody come in. It's something too through green communities, which is not listed here and its reason wasn't in the past, reason I'm gonna suggest we put it back on. Green communities is a really great grant funding source where we
Yeah.
could potentially apply for just this,
Right.
have a consultant help us through those state funding mechanism
Mm.
to perform the carbon emission study.
And then maybe it's related to the next one, because I know there are companies, Noresco, they got in the news for some bad things, but their business model essentially was going to municipalities and saying, we'll front the capital, you give us the cost savings, and we'll work together to reduce emissions. So,
You might get a better deal on that vein from the utility company. Cause it's gonna end up being energy reductions, right?
yep. So I don't know if the utilities do that kind of thing. The thing is that
I think they do.
they front
do
the
it.
capital,
I have the line item on my bill.
but they front the capital, so for example, if you wanted to put in solar rooftop, they'll pay for it.
I don't
Just
know,
keep the
but you can
savings.
get other solar people to front the capital.
Yeah.
I think it's a reasonable idea, I wouldn't itemize Noresco.
Yeah, that's what I said, like
If-
Noresco, that's just the only one I know off the top of my head.
If solar is something I would say from a goals perspective, because we haven't at this point really dove deep into the details of different proposals, other than considering the school roofs, but that even at this point is probably pretty surface. Level, I would suggest maybe just saying look to pursue a identification of potential solar options. We've had those informal conversations with some developers, remember a handful of years ago, they were looking at Aaron Drive.
Mhm.
And I asked that crew to do a survey of town while they were here, and they did. And they really said the schools were the only place that they would put solar. Now that was 5 years ago, market might change, cost of doing it might make it more advantageous. But you know, there's different things like canopies and things you can incorporate to.
The only
So you-
thing I don't like about calling out solar is that makes it like a foregone conclusion. Like if we can get a better bang for our buck by putting insulation in the walls at one of the
Mhm.
town-owned buildings, then I think we should do that
Geothermal.
first. Geothermal.
Now, that's something we do have land for. Somewhere.
So can we mention maybe collaborating or consulting with green communities?
Well, the goal I was gonna add in was, so our green communities lapsed. And what I mean by that, when I first started, green communities was something that had lapsed for 3 years. One of the first things we did is Donna Rich, working with Chief Collins Brown, did the work necessary, and Debbie Morong did the work necessary to submit to the state. And we worked closely with the director of the program, he came here to Topsfield, I met with him, got back on board, and for 2 years we got grant funding. One of the projects we tried to see through, that was unsuccessful because we weren't able to get sign-offs in the time period we were allotted it for over 2 years, was the retrofits at schools. We did one but not two of the phases. And what happened is we exhausted our consultant line item to try to get that over the finish line, which was covered, our consultant helped us with those grants, we're being paid out of the grant
Yeah.
to continue to apply, so we lost those funds. One of the things this year we're gonna do is, I've talked with Debbie Morong and Chief Collins Brown again about making sure we get back on track so we can submit this year for a Green Communities grant.
Absolutely.
We do have a line item for consulting fees, if we absolutely had to, we can dive into that to have our person who's helped us in the past help us resubmit, but we're gonna look internally first to see if we can do it with our existing resources, but as a goal, it's my goal, I think it's important is to get back in, probably not the wording, but good graces with green communities or make sure we submit up-to-date information so that we're eligible for green communities grant funding.
Totally agree.
Here's another idea, and it's a little less risky because it's not living space, it's essentially high value storage space, which is the roof of the public utility building. I mean, that's on an elevated place in town, so it's gonna get continued exposure to the sun as much as any other area in town
Yeah.
almost. It's not living quarters, it's vehicle storage quarters, which isn't quite as risky. So anyway, that's another day, but so D and E, are we looking to get rid of those and just address solar, or do we wanna keep those in some form?
I don't think we should address just solar. I was thinking more like if we did E, I think part of what E would do would cover D.
Yeah, if we keep D, which I'm not opposed to, I think we should change it to town-owned properties,
Yeah,
not town-wide.
sure.
Cause I don't wanna be going to knocking on every door saying it's time to evaluate your carbon.
The same thing in E. Replace town-wide with town-owned. But I think Kevin's, Mr. Hartunian's green communities is absolutely something we should be striving for.
Yeah. Kudos to the team too, when we got that back up and running, we got the maximum amount allocated for first year. really good grant the second year. Just that second piece of the phasing that was a little bit out of our control, just took a little too long.
Are northern climes like this supposed to be good for geothermal?
For heating,
And for energy generation or?
not as much. For energy, for power generation, you want a really high thermal
Differential.
gradient, really high temperature down there. But for heating, you don't need it to be quite as high. Think about it, even 80 degrees or 90 degrees Fahrenheit down below, you can use that to heat your place, and it's efficient. It's gonna keep your place heated.
Really? Does it get that higher, that warm down there? 30, 40 feet down?
But if you wanna generate power, you need to get like 400 or 500 degrees Fahrenheit.
So you gotta find a hot
Southwest.
spring or something.
Yeah. Yeah, or go deep, or go really deep. So I think like Masco, you know, they're looking at their boilers and the life that they have there. One of the things they're evaluating is geothermal.
Okay,
And cause they have all those fields there too.
yeah. Some of which, well, they use them all actually.
Alright, so I guess my proposal would be keep either E or D. But I don't think we need both.
I prefer D.
Okay,
I can work on some wording associated with it.
okay. Anything else under sustainability?
We had pulled one I had added based on what you had said when we were talking about the fire station AC.
Mm-hmm.
So it was assess opportunities to convert to solar or battery when determined to be more cost effective or efficient. So maybe that will go under your green communities.
It could be a separate,
Or
I think that's
separate.
worthy of a separate if,
It's almost like, hey, just make sure you're always thinking of this.
it's a little bit like an operational guidance
Yes.
versus
Yeah.
a goal per se.
Yeah,
Right,
I can see it going as a goal though if you wanted, it's up to the board.
maybe the first year it's a goal and then after that it's worked into operational process.
You have the wording on that?
I do that.
because like the library, right? Hey, what's your duty cycle on, how often is this thing running? When you start thinking about it, you're like, I don't know, I would need to understand, I have no idea how often it runs and for how long.
Oh, right, it
Unless
wasn't the
you're
fire
looking
department,
at
it was the library that we were talking
Library,
about.
yeah. Okay.
Good.
Then there were a couple that I didn't know where they fit. I think under, well, for me, I guess it would go under communication. We're talking about what our goals should be, and given the thrubbing we just got on trash and we don't communicate anything, would it be a stupid idea to find out what people want us to focus
But we have those in the goals somewhere, right? In fact, that was one of the ones that was repetitive, I think.
Communication, transparency.
No, let's say, another public open house to talk about progress and gain insight into what people would like to see come to town. Whether it be ED, recreation services, whatever, that's letter P.
But that's more like economic development, that's not necessarily a select board goal, I would differentiate those two.
Yours is more specific to the goals.
What do you want the select board to focus on over the next 9 months? And I don't know how we would do that, I guess we'd have to put some Google survey or, I don't know.
I'm just thinking through it, yeah, I think it's interesting, I mean, we always wanna hear feedback.
Exactly,
We have the Saturday morning meetings, but I know that's not necessarily the place where we've received a lot of feedback.
no,
No.
Survey would certainly be another step to try to engage. I mean, we did that, you mentioned trash, we did that for trash and we still got,
I know.
Yeah, that's right, we had very exhaustive survey attempts.
I mean, the only other thing we could do is send out, and it would cost money, send out a postcard with the QR code saying, go here and fill in what you think the select board goals should be. And I don't remember, what does a mailer cost, like $5,000 or $4,000?
And every door direct mail will end up with, you know, prepared printed postcard would cost about $2,000.
Just to mail?
1,800 no, produce
Oh,
and
really?
mail. I think 1,800 to 2,200.
Wow.
think the generality of a survey too is difficult. It would have to be a little more concentrated, maybe within categories.
Mm.
And sort of give guidance on sort of these are the things we're considering. What are your priorities? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or something like that. I'm just trying to think where you can engage, because if you it's just open ended, like, what do you want us to do? Write a narrative. It's gonna be hard to get that data point. But it could be an option for people too to at the end, like, what else? I mean, it's different ways. We've done a number of surveys. The trash survey was very thoughtful how we went through that. The ECDC survey we did 3 years ago for ahead of the development showcase that we put together.
Well, I
I
guess.
would hate to
Master
direct
plan
them,
survey.
direct the witness, maybe have general categories and then to respond, open-ended question.
So as far as the goal goes, I think right now is it worth doing? And by when? And then I think, again, just for tonight's discussion, it would be those two things, and then the how do we do it? How much does it cost? Is it worth doing would be.
What would the difference, I'm just spitballing, like, and to your point, like, we're up here, but just trying to get down as a goal, like, what are we actually gonna produce? I think you probably wanna start with the master plan survey, right? Like, as a sort of a baseline, because we have some data from that covered a broad range of different categories. What specifics within that? I guess when we drop, what would the categories be? Would it be like basically our goal categories? Like, what would you like us to do under sustainability?
And when I wrote that, clearly it's very, just off the cuff. I was thinking it would be open ended. Tell us what you want us to focus on.
Problem is, what if they give you something that you weren't.
Lower taxes, you're gonna hear that every
to
single time.
accommodate?
Yeah,
Well,
sure. It's
yeah,
It's gonna be
reduce
lower
ta-
taxes across, that's it.
Reduce taxes 20%.
Just because they list it doesn't mean it's
Right.
gonna go on as a goal, it's just, we wanna get the feedback.
Right.
We've
But
talked
there's
about
always the
this.
risk of you get feedback and then you blow it off because you don't like
Well,
it.
that's just it, like how do you relay that message back that you can't reduce taxes by 20%? It's not feasible.
Someone comes and talks to us. Like it should not be done with the expectation that vote on this and then that will become our goals. No, we're looking for good ideas. There, we're looking for good ideas, and yes, we're the arbiter of what is a good idea and what's not a good idea. I'd be fine
Could
with
we loosen it just a little bit and say explore the concept of, or something to that effect versus like put a survey out, because I think there's more that we have to kind of
Okay,
pull back before we commit fully to
okay.
what it looks like or how it goes out.
I thought it was a lot more expensive, $2,200. I think that's well worth it.
Yeah, the every direct mail is pretty efficient. Cause you print up these oversized postcards, like 6x9 or something.
Like we did for the trash.
Yeah,
Right.
and then you put them into packages exactly equal to the number of patrons on each postal route.
Yeah,
So there'll be 5 packages, all of them different size. And they just put it in the trunk and throw one in every box.
alright, so I mean, I think it's a worthwhile idea, but if we wanna just say evaluate or whatever, that's fine too. But what I don't want it to do is we've got evaluate and explore a lot in here, and we'll get this to the next one, is that nothing comes of them. So I almost think like this is why I wanna prioritize our goals later, it's like, we're gonna have a whole select board meeting on one of these things, at some point in the next year, so. Ranked choice voting, I'll just take that one out, that's a pet peeve of mine, and I'm trying to convince other folks, but I got a lot more legwork to do there.
Yeah, I actually have an opinion on that. And I'm absolutely against it. I think it's basically a way for people who are destined to come in second, third, or fourth that have a big political machine to overcome number one.
No, Yeah.
And
that's fine,
basically, in the places where it's tried, there seems to be this long trail of resentment about confusion about how the mechanics of it actually work
well,
amongst the voting public. And there is an alternative that's easier, cleaner, and easier to understand, which is if you have 8 or 9 candidates and you're worried about having a weak plurality, not a majority, you just say, all right, the top 2 will have a runoff. You have to have another election, but everybody understands that, and it's clear cut.
Hmm.
So if And our problem is too few candidates for positions,
No, I know.
not too many.
Good point.
So it's really not even,
This year.
for
we
us to
haven't.
do that, it would be a rare occasion where we have that many candidates.
It would be a rare occasion where it would matter. I've already withdrawn it, but my thinking was in other state and federal elections, if you can get people used to it in a local election, then it's less foreign and less weird, and they have a less visceral reaction to what many people think is a good idea. Especially if they find out they've been doing it for years already. But I've already taken that one off, so unless you wanna put it back on. Explore moving the town meeting to the third Tuesday, again, this is clearly just me thinking like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? Reason being, we are always well, it doesn't matter how we vote because someone else is gonna determine what happens with the Masco budget, whereas if we're at the end, it might not matter how we vote, but we could be the tiebreaker too. I don't know if that's something we'd even wanna think, because
I know we've
all
had-
it is it's in the bylaws, it says the meeting will be the first Tuesday of May. And then all you have to
Oh.
do is change first Tuesday to third Tuesday. It would be a bylaw change, which means it takes 6 years to get done, but know.
Oh, 1 year, right?
yeah.
Well,
Let's go Secretary of
I
State.
kinda like being first, cause you're like the trendsetter. You know, whatever you do, the other two have to either go along with it or, fight like heck to have both of them come out the same way.
We did get feedback from other communities, because this year with the overrides, specifically with Masconomic, I did get that feedback that based on how Topsfield votes is probably gonna be an indicator how the rest of it goes, which
Really?
has some value if you wanna be the trendsetter. And at the same time, it does leave, though, to your point, Mr. McDonald, that if people don't view it that way and the other two communities go a different direction, then we're gonna have to have a special town meeting.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But that would be true anyway, if we're third and the other two go the other way. We gotta, and
Yeah,
our
if we
people
still
didn't
vote
like
against
that.
it, we're gonna have to have
We're gonna
another
have a
But
special
then
town
people
meeting.
are voting for it knowing that they're also voting to have a special town meeting.
That's right.
So, I mean, just some thoughts, I don't know what the rest of the board thinks, if that's maybe not worthwhile of a goal or, I don't know.
It's based on speculation about a hypothetical. Cause we really can't tell what the next situation is where there's a potential 2 to 1, 1 to 2. And how it would work.
We've never had it since
That's a
I've been-
hypothetical, and you're speculating about a hypothetical, you make a decision about speculation on a hypothetical.
Well, that's what planning is, right?
Well, planning is a most likely, plan for a most likely, but
Most likely, we will end up in this town with a 2 to 1 situation again at some point. And most likely, it will be over the Masco budget, cause that's the only thing that we
Yeah,
vote
that's
on in
probably-
the tri-town, so.
Would give us a little bit more time for the warrant.
yeah, I know,
Done.
it's
Get it
done.
anyway.
Let's go.
Alright.
Especially if
It's your call, not mine.
especially if you plan some vacations for like May 8th or something.
Alright, well, those are just some musings of mine, we don't have to keep them on there.
Alright, so those two are, so the last three are out.
I was thinking to move the first one under amenities, constituent services.
Yes.
Were there anything else that the rest of the board wishes to bring up? Alright,
So we put in the one about looking at the old people assistance, right?
What?
The elderly.
Seniors.
Oh, yes.
Seniors.
he's starting to talk like Boyd.
Oh, God help us.
Where did we have that one, Mr. Metz, do you remember?
That was in the end
Financial.
of 4.
Okay. That's in my notes, I'm getting it.
And the other one I wanted, we decided not to make a goal that you were gonna report on the storage separately.
I owe you a memo.
So next up's what I know we're talking about it on the 15th, 18th September, our next work session, 15th of September, August. And we,
I just wanted to make sure everyone was here.
see, we're paying attention, aren't you glad?
I keep forgetting what is that movie, Anchorman? I was like, September, August? I'm not gonna say the second month, I'm not just gonna read.
But I would love it if we can have like a wholesome discussion there, and I mean
Wholesome.
of the whole thing.
Oh.
And then
Holistic.
maybe even vote on it then and there.
Can we just tell these other two guys we're done?
Yeah.
We finished?
So, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay with you, my plan would be before, well in advance of that, in the next week or two, is to take the notes that Samantha took, mine, consolidate as much as possible, send this out well in advance.
Yep.
Solicit feedback ahead of time from the board members before we
Yeah.
meet individually, and just get a sense of if we're heading in the right direction, to kind of prepare us for that next meeting,
How
where
about-
we can take it up in more formal.
How about a little stronger, which this version contains all the edits that were decided upon at our several meetings and is ready for final consideration.
Whew. That's a goal.
So we don't stretch this out into 4 more meetings.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything.
yeah. No, I agree. Like, bring any comments or whatever. This is your chance.
If you have any substantial changes,
But the other thing that I would like to do is under each one of these, I don't wanna have P. I think somebody mentioned bullet point P, right? We can't actually do that many things under each thing, so.
I look back at fiscal 21, it was, I think, category like 4.
3 or 4, that's,
Yeah.
it should be max. So what I wanna do is when you do that, and I'll do it, I'll put an Excel thing together, or I'll just say, hey, rank these, put them in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Make choice vote.
If you're not in the top 5, then sorry, collocate or consolidate all of our different scores so we can have, this is how the board weighted them. And if Bob, if you wanna have a 1.02 weighting, eh,
I don't know if I ever went to the 100th. Well, maybe I had a 7.5, a 0.75, yeah.
But I would like us to also have them weighted, so that the ones at the bottom, maybe we don't cut them, but if we're not, to your point about the sidewalks, if we're not really gonna be doing it, let's not have it on there. If it's not where we want the board and the administration to be focused, then let's make that clear.
There's no sense in putting a goal on there if we're not gonna even try.
The other idea I have, and you two might shoot me, is that some of these need somebody from the board being the driver. So we
Oh,
almost need a champion for
each.
each,
Yeah.
maybe not each, I don't know, you think each one does?
No, so
There are some
For
where
some, yes.
we're pushing more than Kevin is pushing.
Yeah.
And I think we should identify, or maybe if you wanna volunteer, I don't know, I haven't thought this part out too much more.
well, maybe when we go through and look
I
at
don't see
the
myself
version.
Yeah,
volunteering.
maybe step by step.
Yeah.
Let's look at that and then we can kind of flesh it out. I mentioned this with Vice Chair Marcia Link earlier today in a meeting. One of my goals, after we complete these goals, is to sit with each of the members individually and go through them, but also talk about any particular specific projects or priorities that you have. Because these are broad goals that the board will vote on as a whole, but there might be 1 or 2 or 3 things that, you know, this year you'd like to see done or you'd like to work collaboratively with. And I'd love to hear that and work with you on them. So just as another step in sort of the goal process. I haven't done this in the past per se, because we do talk on a regular basis, but it would just be like let's pick this time, sit down for an hour and a half and kind of get through, you know, what we were looking to do this year and how we can work together on them.
Okay.
Might
So
be relevant, I'm not sure.
for the ranking to work, then we would need this thing in the next couple weeks.
My goal would be is before Labor Day weekend, if that works for the
Great.
board. That gives you 2 weeks to kind of start reviewing and ranking coming out of the holiday.
Yeah.
First step is to consolidate all the editorial decisions that were made, which Ms. Samantha is going to commandeer. And then from that, you would create a spreadsheet,
So
and
some,
we would stick our own numbers in there or
Yeah.
our own sequence.
rank 'em.
I'm good with that. So it wouldn't be, if there's 51 things here, it wouldn't be 1 through 51, it would be ranking
One
within
through
each
4.
category.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. That's what I was thinking at least, yeah. And how many is too many? 5, 4, 3? Can't be more than 5. 5 to me is the max.
Well,
We've had some
maybe you
years
see what
with
you
some-
got. If there's unanimity amongst the rankings, maybe you can cut it a little shorter if there's
Yeah. Alright,
dispersion.
And I'll just say from an operator side, whether it's 2, 3, 5, 10 in each category, we will work our tails off to deliver on as many of these as we can.
I know, but we wanna make your job easier, and one of the things we keep telling you year after year is focus, focus, focus. And if you've got 10 different focuses, I think the board has made it clear, we'd rather you focus on those 3 and knock them out of the park rather than focus on 10 and knock 5 out of the park. I don't know what the right analogy is.
I would like to think, and tell me if I'm wrong, Kevin, but last year, I'm hoping was a peak work effort year for you with the 10 High Street, 10 School Street, the trash, and the ending of the pocket park. I mean, that, and the negotiations, I'm hoping that
Fairly.
this year, next year aren't packed with as many hugely time-sucking jobs.
What I love about this job is that it's amazingly diverse and always an incredible amount of things that you can get done if you so choose. We will not have another trash conversation like we've had over the last year for hopefully for some time, if ever. But there'll be something else that follows. You know, there'll be a lot of work on School Ave, Alfalfa Farm, seeing that through. We do have the fire CBA coming up, the call fire CBA coming up, and the DPW CBA coming up in the next few months that we'll start to engage on. We've got a tough budget year. We always try to keep it like one of our goals, no overrides, and that takes a lot of work to try to avoid those overrides if we can. I think as we've gotten more experience and more familiar, it allows us to be more efficient, put more on the plate, and still hopefully knock most of them out of the park. But I think if you look back at prior years, I mean, it was COVID 4 years ago that we started when I got here, and that was everything. And then we pivoted into economic development, contracts. There's always a good amount of work that comes. And it's part of like I said, the diversity and the ability to make a difference is why we do this, so keep bringing it.
Workaholics paradise.
Come to Topsfield.
Okay.
Okay,
Alright, so we got next steps. So that concludes our discussion on continued review and discussion. That brings us to select board updates. Let's go to Mr. Metz.
okay. So I'm hearing from some spontaneous, unsolicited comments by citizens about the Country Farms west wall and its condition. And does this peeling paint contain any lead?
Can answer all those questions for you.
And so that's one thing. Another thing is, so I went down to the playground with my grandchildren and my sons Sunday afternoon and was happy to see a very active, energetic pickleball game going on. And they were very conscientious about rolling up the net at the end. So that was good. So one of my neighbors up at Great Hill, future neighbors, I don't know how to describe this. Yeah, a woman who's very pleasant and cognizant and fairly has seen a lot of wonderful years. She was very positive and eager to get her downsized recycling bin.
Oh, that's good.
So I think there's at least one anecdotal piece of evidence that the whole outreach program to Great Hill apparently is working.
And the Dominic, who's the chair.
Tom, yeah,
Yeah.
the vice chair or something,
Vice chair.
vice president, yeah.
He is the champion for Great Hill. He reached out right away in this program and organized an effort to make sure. And we had just while we're on it, there was the opt-down program, goes 65 down to 32. A specific bin that you'd have to purchase. However, when we did the take back program, we refurbished ones that were in really good shape, cleaned them, prepared them, And of the 22 people that have opted out, 21 of them have used the refurb.
Yeah, she said she was told she would be getting one of the refurbished, used ones, but she hasn't gotten it. Should she have, if she was one of the people to get it, should she have gotten it by now?
I think Great Hill went out today or tomorrow.
I saw Dom come through this afternoon when I was in a meeting. I'm not sure if he went upstairs. He's probably coordinating with Kathleen Barbarisi the timing of the drops. They're unique as a community. We're addressing the whole community versus one-off.
Yeah.
And it was very purposeful for efficiency's sake. But she will be. If she hasn't received it yet, she will be.
Yeah, that was this morning.
Yeah. And at 11 of the 22, 50% of the people who have opted out have come from Great Hill. And I think that's partly because of the push and the organized effort to make sure people are aware of it,
Yeah.
right from the homeowners association committee. A country farm wall, yes, it has tested positive for lead. There is no bylaw that we're aware of that can condemn or require remediation of it. But the Topsfield Community Partnership, led by, again, Sarah Guido, one of our partners, has been working with myself and a committee of 3 other people over the course of the last 3 or 4 months on trying to put a mural on that. First step is to remediate the paint, which is expensive. And then second would then be to put a mural. Remediation costs are estimated about $8,000.
Oh my God.
And then on top of that, we're seeing price estimates between $25,000 and $30,000 to do the mural professionally. So great group of volunteers, Sarah and others who've been working through this. It's another sort of goal of mine. I'd love to see that done. So many people have asked about that wall, Country Farms, and for a while it was the owners were reluctant to even participate, but about a year, 8 months ago, Sarah and I had a conversation with them, and they with grant funding, they are not willing to cover the cost, but they are willing to pitch in some after some negotiation to cover some of the cost. So
They own the building?
it's a really interesting dynamic. We're not 100% sure who owns the building, because when we talk to the people in the property, they say it's a family member, and then we talk with them and they say it's another family member. But
That's funny.
yeah, it's been a challenge. We got to somebody about 8 months ago, like I said, who finally I said, listen, you got lead in the paint. You got lead paint. You're gonna have to fix it on your own at some point, and we're willing to find funds to help you, but you got to contribute 10% or 20%, whatever the number we gave him, and he agreed over the phone to do it. And that's when we started the effort with the residents that volunteered to try to find a solution to step 1, step 2, remediate, and then mural. One concept was a welcome to Topsfield mural on the side. Others have been more of a like artwork, almost like a scenery of like a farm or something on the Meredith farm, for example. So there's a few different ideas floating around, but again, they're very expensive to do.
Well, at one point, I had a fellow from town with a daughter in an art program said that she was interested in applying to work on a mural for it. So it may be something you can get a project or something going out of Masco Art Department.
So Masco Art Department, one of the members is actually a member of the committee. And it was discussed. I think the committee, and I haven't been able to attend the last couple from conflict purposes, but I think the first was we have an idea of what we'd like to see professionally, what would it cost to do this. That might be an option B that we're working through now, potentially, is to have not to say professional artists, but art students. You have other institutions like Montserrat College of Art that might be willing to do it at a discounted price from what a professional artist.
So there's a Masco art teacher on the committee?
Actually, I think it was a student. It was a senior.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But no, I think right now they're exploring different options on it. I was talking to Sarah Guido 2 weeks ago about this, and I said, let's just remediate it, paint it white for now, and then we'll come back to the mural if we need to. Let's try to fundraise that $8,000 just to get to the basic.
That's a good idea, actually. Not that I'm surprised.
Thank you.
So you talked about almost $40,000 it costs.
Oh yeah, it could be.
but the town wouldn't pay for that, it would be some sort of grant and or fundraising.
Correct.
I'm just shocked that there's no way that you can make somebody remediate exterior lead pollution.
I agree.
Yeah, in an active parking spot.
Yeah.
Near a place that sells food.
To kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to believe it was very likely we could find some art-related students or school or something that would like to do it that could do it as a project. We wouldn't have to just go pay somebody commercially to do 30 grand to do it.
Like would Slow River Studio be interested?
Again, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, again, it's working through its process. First, we had to get them it took literally 3 years for them to finally agree to allowing us to even consider doing it and for them to contribute. And then from that, it took a little time to get going again with getting this committee going, as an arm of TCP. And then, for the last few months at least, they've been working through different concepts. They even talked about different locations as well. I always thought that was the prime location because it's in such deplorable condition at the moment. But it's not as easy because we've had those challenges
Yeah.
with trying to get approvals from the owner.
I know we had a similar discussion about Topsfield House of Pizza, and Marshall was very energetic in talking about their improvements, and I looked at it, and
That's right.
They've
it's
done a great
right,
job.
he's right. They have made improvements, they got those tables out there and
Looks great.
They've done a great job. New ownership. They've done a great job. Good community partners.
Alright, anything else?
I'm done.
Alright,
Alright, so first on the list, which I think is probably gonna be a duplicate from something Kevin's gonna talk about. So last Thursday, we had the ECDC Business Social. So we had one in January, and this was our second one of this year. The business socials are new within the last several years. The one in January, we had about low 20s attend, so 23, 25 people. This one we had, I think it was close to 40. We kind of expanded the invite list as we get better at hosting these events. So it was very successful. Again, it was a great opportunity for the local small businesses to kind of get together, get to know each other. We wanted to thank publicly Senator Tarr for coming, as well as Representative Kasner for coming, and her legislative aide Christina Eckert also attended. So really appreciated the fact that they took the time to come to the event. They also said some words, which was very nice as well. And we also had a great overview of 10 School Ave by Tim and Craig. So I think everyone had a good time, and like I said, it was a good opportunity for the local businesses to meet each other or get to know each other, and to also be able to meet. We had the Chief Hubby was there, we had representatives from the fire department, so it was really a nice get together for people to just have a chance to meet each other. The concerts on the Common, we have 2 more left. They've been great this whole season. I think next Sunday is the Billy Joel tribute, and the Sunday after that is the Johnny Cash tribute.
but it's multiple next Sunday, I think, right?
it is?
Because of all the cancellations they had earlier in the month.
Okay, possibly.
So there was a blues band that was supposed to play earlier in the month that's supposed to be coming back too.
Oh, that would be great.
Yep.
along with the Billy Joel thing.
At the same time, it's Battle of the Bands. No.
That would be great. I will tell you, I've seen both the Billy Joel tribute band that's coming, as well as the Johnny Cash one, and they're both outstanding, so I highly recommend them. So those are the good things. The other thing I wanted to mention, I know, these are not the good things. We have had a lot of vandalism in the town in the last several weeks, and I just thought it would be a good opportunity to mention them. We had vandalism at the Pocket Park, at the tennis courts, and at the softball fields. All look like they are damaged from some sort of bike or e-bike. And then Kevin had mentioned earlier about the damage at Pybrook last year.
And somebody stole the speed sign on Surrey Lane.
Oh, true.
Could you
So-
mention the three places again?
So
please?
Pybrook, I'm sorry, the Pocket Park, that was a week and a half ago. The tennis courts was within the last week.
What happened
Oh,
at the
and the
tennis
new-
courts?
It looks like bike
Same
damage,
thing?
so it has the bike skid marks. The real downside to that is at the Pocket Park, Gary's team went in and they power washed and they were able to get that off. And the tennis courts, I don't think you can do that because of the surface.
Mhm.
I think you'll actually power wash the surface off.
Mhm.
And we walked over today to look at it, and it's not just the rubber marks that are on there, they actually dug into the top surface and damaged it. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is just to make everyone aware that when you damage the public property, it costs us money in some way. So whether it's Gary's team taking the time out of their day of doing something that we would rather than be doing than cleaning up after the vandalism, or if we have to replace something.
You know, do you mind if I interject?
Oh, no,
for a
go
minute?
ahead.
So I was kind of sloughing off the idea of security cameras. Your report here, I think, brings that right back to the front of the table. Is that still in the goals,
Yes.
the security
At least
cameras?
in the draft, I'll probably likely produce.
Yeah, we want those in there. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
So, and that's it, I just wanted to mention that, it is disappointing to see it, I understand that sometimes this can happen, but we've had so many that I just wanted to highlight it. It's to see all the work that people have put into these projects, the fact that a lot of work went into grants or local monies, it's just disappointing.
Yeah,
And it is vandalism, so if the police find you, you're gonna pay.
yeah, I think let's get the security cameras up there and let's enforce the law.
That's all I have.
Alright. Homegrown markets were mentioned, those are going strong. This week's we'll have beer to help raise money for TCP, which is helping to de-lead things. Right, so come,
Full circle.
buy your beer and get lead off the wall. Music on the common, and then I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the last week of the summer program? The summer camp, last week was?
Last week was, yes.
So it finished, it went great, again, I think a testament to a lot of hard work and a lot of people wearing hats that they were not necessarily thinking that they were going to be wearing. So I wanna say thank you to everybody who made the program not just possible, but successful and safe. It was great.
So the limitation on making it longer is that the staff heads off to college, is that it, or?
I think the number of weeks has worked out well. I think the one thing we would do is reduce the hours from a 9 to 1 to a 9 to 12 next year. We had a mid-year sort of touch base, and that was some of the feedback. We talked about today,
Because of the lunch?
we're gonna set up another, you don't wanna feed kids, they get hungry.
Yeah.
They get hangry. We're gonna try to do a debrief in the next week or two
Great.
with all the organizers of the activity. And I would say by name, Katie Kerwig, amazing job, resident town, was looking for compensation, wasn't looking for anything other than to help provide a service to families during the summer to meet a demand. Got a very nice note from her today. Thank you, Katie, if you're watching. But it was a great team effort and really proud of the work the team did to get there.
Yep,
Congratulations,
you made it.
that was, you really, there's
Let
a
you
lot of
go
work
for a
on
few
that.
moments.
What's that?
Touch and go for a few moments, but we got there.
Alright. Alright, and that's what I had, I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but it's over to the TA's report, please.
Yeah, so we've been talking about trash for some time. We have our next trash working group meeting is tomorrow at 2. And so I'm just flagging that
is?
for Mr. Matt say we will send an email. I'm sorry, Wednesday, not tomorrow. Wednesday at 2. We're kind of at a good point with it. Constituent calls have been significantly less than obviously the initial roll in July. Plan's been working really well. We are up to 216 second barrels purchased since July 1st. That's in addition to the 207 that were initially purchased. So percentage wise, we're still well below the 20% mark that is well below the 28% that we initially surveyed for the need on second trash barrels. We are gonna be putting up the bulk information hopefully this week on our website. Our first bulk pickup is
September 12th.
September 12th. And the way people need to do a bulk item now is just like you would for your second bin, you'll go onto our portal, purchase the bulk item service, meaning you put a bulk item out, hit submit, and then we're gonna run a query of all the people that submit with all the addresses, give it to Gmello, and Mello will have a list of all the addresses and they'll come by and pick your items up. Just make sure they're out there the night, early in the morning, the day of, or the
You
night.
said the week of September 12th?
Yes.
So, and how many days, like, when will that portal close? Cause you can't have people signing up at 8 p.m. the night before and expect it to get picked up.
So Wednesday, tomorrow, my finance team meets and Morgan Dwinell from the treasurer's office has been championing the online portal. I talked to him this morning, he was gonna give us an update tomorrow. Once we have that, Wednesday, the team will get back together. We've already had some preliminary conversations, the working group on what bulk items would look like. That's how we know what we need to build.
Mhm.
Exact pricing, exact dates, those are the details we'll probably iron out this week, if not next week. And have that out in social media and on the website, so everybody will be aware of the bulk pickup item.
Would it be the same day as your trash pickup, or is it gonna be its own unique day?
I'm not 100% certain it's likely it would probably be on a specific day from efficiency standpoint. They're running a separate truck.
It's not every house they go to.
The automation truck's not gonna work. Like before with your bulk item, you put it out on the same day, cause it was the back of the truck, the guy driving would jump out with the guy in the back, they'd pick up your couch, throw it in the back and keep going. And then pick up your trash bins, right? In this case, the automated truck was gonna come by, pick up, and they'll have a date, might be that date, the 12th itself. That they'll be going around town and they'll have that list so they can map their route so they'll know where to go to pick up. It'll be our first time doing a bulk item this way, but it's pretty neat that you don't need to go out and buy a sticker or anything. You just from the few seconds and it clicks on your phone or on your laptop or on your desktop, you'll be able to purchase the product. And if you
September 12th is a Friday.
and if you don't have the ability to online access, you can always come to town hall and we'll walk you through how to do an online purchase together.
Or call.
Or call. Pretty friendly.
I think you need to be in town hall to put your credit card information in though.
Oh, right, we have to pay.
Yeah.
The other items, we did have our second bins delivered last week to the stores. So our bins are in possession. So if you've ordered a second bin,
Okay.
late last week, thank you to Sam, because as you know, I was not available last week, as well as members of our police department and DPW who helped unload the bins. It was not expected. We thought those were gonna come off the pallets and dropped off. We needed to actually physically take them out of the back of the truck. So the team rallied, Sam pulled people together, made it all happen.
I promised a lot of things on behalf of Kevin.
I owe people a lot of things
Sorry,
apparently.
You guys do.
That's okay though.
I wish you had called me, I would have had some creative requests for compensation.
Marshall's dollar.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna get like 12 cents after his dollar, he keeps giving it out so many times.
It's been given quite a few times over. But those are there, so if you bought your second bin and you've been waiting, we had these overflow bags. If you remember these were a huge success. These went out. We put almost 200 out on the street over the period of the last month while we waited for that delivery that was delayed. And the people at the stores, Zach over at and his team over at Dawson's. And then at the co-op, Wes and Dylan and their team did a great job explaining what was going on. The letter, the whole thing worked out really well. Mello picking up the blue bags, a lot of coordination to kind of fill that gap, again, because of the delay of the manufacture of the bins. But it all came together, and logistically, we ended up with not more than a handful left at the end of the day, so it worked out really, really well. So we're in a good place with the overflow bins in that sense. And then we did our last pickup of the old bins last week. And I think we had, or 2 weeks ago, and we've had 3 people who've called and just asked if it's gonna be another option out of 2,300 households. That's a really good number that people knew what to do and that they put their bins out, either the drop or on the curb, the drop in July or the curb 2 weeks ago. But if anyone does reach out, we've directed them to Gmello, recommend anybody call them to find out if there's a solution.
So if somebody might be moving, for example, and just out of force of habit, they took the rolled barrels to the highway garage, would that be like illegitimate?
At this point in time,
Yeah,
we'd ask you to probably just call Gmello, if that scenario were to happen.
if it was good.
If that was to ever be something that we'd have to consider. But again, I just wanna say this morning at our department head meeting. Almost every single department, if not all of them, have been touched by the trash rollout because it's such a big and important thing that we've done. We've had the working group, we've had so much coordination and thoughtfulness that's gone into the plan. The community at large, there's been some people that have obviously had some questions or concerns around the program when it first rolled out, and that's okay, we expected that. But people have been incredibly helpful in giving us feedback, but also working with us to help identify solutions to their problems. And now that this bin orders come in, we are in a really great place with regards to having inventory on stock. The vendors are gonna be able to sell them directly. The town's portion of this project now is to make sure Mello continues to pick up and do the great job that they've been doing. And the online purchases. There's still work to do, but the big lift, is behind us, which we appreciate. And I wanna thank my department heads first and foremost, the community at large, and the select board for your standing by this program and thinking through it with us and being a part of this project, because it was a really important one. And I'm really grateful too, that, DEP is paying really close attention to this and asking a lot of questions almost on a weekly basis. How's this working? How's that working? And they're referring us to other communities for our plan who are considering doing the same thing we're doing. We're becoming one of the models that people can take on here in Massachusetts, and that's really cool. Yes, Mr. Metz, I'm sorry.
I've talked to somebody from Peabody or someplace just recently, and something that has not been mentioned often enough, or maybe not even at all, is how, first of all, how lucky we were that our contract expired June 30th, but how effective the job was you did in vetting these various candidates and picking, leading us towards picking these small, flexible, non-unionized local company. I mean, these companies that have Republic, these towns that have Republic now, like we did, 4 months ago, we had Republic. These towns that have Republic are really going through a very aggravating time trying to cope with all this garbage. And people complain about, not what they expected, whatever. But just think that we made concrete decisions which took us away from Republic into a different company that has none of these problems. And we could be suffering all these problems and we're not. And I think people ought to be aware of that.
Mello's been great, and the effort that collectively everyone made to vet these vendors that we worked through, and having the support of being able to negotiate the contracts and going through the process made a difference. Worked really well.
So are you ready for inquiries?
On trash or in general?
No, and another subject.
Sure. I had 3 other things. First day of school is on 27th. Just remind people that teachers are back the 25th.
Be careful driving.
Thank you. We did a pretty significant training this afternoon over at Proctor with the police. Active shooter training, which was good. Team did a great job. Thank you to Chief Hubby for leading that effort, and Dr. Morrison. I did mention the 375th anniversary last time we met. I talked about the efforts 2 weeks ago we started. Had our second meeting today. Really great group of people, great continuation of the conversation. We have clear action items, and I'd ask everyone to mark their calendars. October 18th, probably starting around 3 p.m. will be the first of a series of events that afternoon, recognizing and celebrating 375 years since our incorporation. So that's exciting. And then the last thing I'll mention is, and I know I shared this with the board, but I'll say it out loud in this public meeting, our COA van's here.
Yeah.
The bus is here, and it was exciting. I got a chance to go take a look at it. It smells like a brand new car, which is very nice.
Is it bigger than the last one?
It's funny. I spoke to the COA director, Kathleen Barbarisi, after I went in there, and I asked her that question. And I said, is it smaller? And she goes, it's been split. Half the people think it's bigger and half the people think it's
It
smaller.
looks bigger
She said it's
in
the
the
same
photo.
size. I thought it was smaller.
You thought it was
I thought it was
small.
smaller. So I said, That's actually pretty amazing. She goes, no, exactly the same amount of seats, same size. It's basically
Same size.
So
What is the shape of the corners?
I think the shape might give you
Yeah.
some size differential to it, but I was able to. It has automatic door openers for the drivers and for people getting in and out. I was test driving not the car itself, but the clicker.
Does it have a wheelchair lift?
It does, and it has a very safe and modern wheelchair lift that's much more efficient and safe than the one we've used previously. The technology's come a long way since our last purchase. So it increases safety. It's more gas efficient with the use of the gas. It's gonna take. It's new. It's gonna really increase the experience for our seniors who take advantage of our trips and other activities when we transport. So. Thank you, Kathleen Barbarisi, Penny Rogers, the COA team. It's exciting to have the vehicle finally here. And I'll remind everyone that 80% of the cost was grant funded.
That's
What
what we
happens
like.
to the old bus?
We're gonna surplus it.
Okay.
And so in times past, we put out in the combines, I think it is, where we actually can sell numerous things, weed whackers, desks. We're selling a bus. So if anyone wants to buy a bus, you can go to combines in the weeks to come.
Is that like selling used? Is that what a combines is?
Yeah.
And the crash up derby is what day at the fair?
Yeah.
Right? Can you imagine that? We'll have to strip the logo of Topsfield off the side before then.
I am just saying, there is a member of the board who used to own a school bus that was bright green and called the Pickle. I'm not saying who it was.
I've heard this
I'm
story.
not saying who it was.
Is that
I don't
select board
know.
member still sitting here at this table today?
I'm not divulging anything else with the cameras on.
It's a great story.
I did not have that bus and neither did Mr.
Yeah, I'm not, I've got no interest in any buses.
Yes, sir.
So I had a question. Has there been any feedback and how many on the MMA letters and how many towns ultimately signed up?
I believe I got the emails while last week was away. I think it was ended up being around 9 communities signed up, and then
So,
I think MMA obviously was a signatory to it, and MAPC signed on as well. We reached out to 18. There was 18 communities we reached out to, including Topsfield as one of those 18, and I believe a number of those communities that didn't sign on to the letter per se. One of them was just they didn't have a select board meeting, and he wanted to make sure his board, the town administrator, wanted to make sure his board had a chance to read it. So in lieu of it, they were going to do their own letter. Another community elected to write their own letter instead of signing on. So 2 of those. So roughly, there's a couple communities that I think just maybe weren't as interested in participating, just because from a priority standpoint. But it was a really good coalition of communities. It's
West Springfield?
yes, absolutely. First ones.
Um,
They were the John Hancock like we were at the time.
So, KP Law, were they a signatory in support or a legal advisor?
There was a co-written letter between MMA and KP Law.
Where they were both supporters of opposing this?
They were both opposed,
Yeah.
and then the towns and cities signed on to it accordingly.
And there's been no movement on this bill, right?
No movement as of at least last week that I'm aware of.
Anything.
Nothing that I'm aware of.
No movement as of right this very second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, up to the date.
Can I just ask a quick question on something you covered?
Yes.
Cause I just looked at the calendar. What date did you say the 375 was on?
We're looking at Saturday the October 18th.
The 16th is the actual.
Thursday the 16th is the actual day that we were incorporated. So it'll be 2 days. We'll be
this
celebrating its
October.
birthday.
Yes.
2 days after, and then we're gonna pivot into the first half of next year, doing a number of events potentially around 250th anniversary of our country.
You said 16th.
18th?
16th is the actual anniversary, 18th would be the celebration.
Correct.
Saturday, October 18th.
John Kindle will be providing a 45-minute first 100 years from 1630 up until 1727. Historical look of Topsfield.
Gosh. Wait, who's doing that?
John Kinnan.
Oh my gosh.
And then we're gonna be looking to a flag raising ceremony with the Topsfield flag, as well as with the traditional Topsfield song. Yes, we have a song.
Did not know that.
And second, there'll be a local artist who's gonna be writing a modern Topsfield song to celebrate the occasion, and then we'll be pivoting into a block party, likely at the COA patio. And to that,
Not the pocket park.
well, it's the proximity,
Yeah,
town hall across the back,
no,
but
that's true, yeah.
it's did have a chance to get out to the COA patio briefly today when I went to look at the new van, the new COA van, and what a beautiful day to be out in that park.
It was a good
Park's
night.
been very well attended. There's a lunch for the COA tomorrow at 12. They've been activating that space constantly, and I see people regularly just sitting there, enjoying a snack, reading a book, looking at their phone, talking to a friend. But it's been used quite a bit. It's been a really great another improvement that's been well received.
Okay,
Excellent.
Alright,
old people, take the leadership once again.
so under correspondence, appoint people to a few things. One, there's a letter from the I forget exactly who it's from, but in opposition to the nicotine-free generation,
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
which I don't think, I have not heard anybody is actually pushing here, but thank you for your letter. I wanted to thank Amelia Sorpel for winning the Avalon Memorial Scholarship. She is heading to Tufts next year to study pre-dental medicine. Congratulations and
Money well
best
spent,
of
Tops,
luck.
yeah.
And then the last thing, it came in, just wanted to point out and highlight, there's a commendation for Gary Wilds, our superintendent, from John Kinnon. There was a traffic issue, it's very well written, but I think the point to call out, to quote, Gary Wilds is a perfect example of a highly motivated public servant whose mission is to make our town better, period. That's just,
Here.
that's the best, we love to hear that, that's great. I don't think it's a surprise to any of us, but to get that commendation in writing is fantastic, and thank you, Gary. Thank you, John, for sending us that letter.
Okay,
Any other business?
I'm just gonna mention that nicotine-free generation letter came in because the Tri-Town Council is gonna be working with the Board of Health on that.
Oh, they are looking at it then.
I don't know where
It's
that is.
very early in the process. Tri-Town Council had a meeting 3 or 4 months ago where they discussed for the first time. They have Friday morning meetings. I was in attendance and they discussed it for the first time, and they've got some work to do. They need to do some, conversations with our business community, obviously. I know that they're looking at it from the public health standpoint, it's important. And I think they're working through it. There's a lot more work they need to do though.
it's interesting because the proposed bylaw, they were accused of telling adults they can't buy cigarettes at all. But the proposed bylaw didn't do that, that I saw. It was like that anyone born after 2004, I think it was, which would be 21 now, can't buy it. So,
But that also means once they turn 35, they still can't buy them.
That's right.
yeah, that's what I mean. So every
You're not taking it
year,
away from anybody.
the age eligibility goes up 1 year.
Right.
So it's kind of
That's right.
a traveling limitation that gets more and more binding as time goes by.
So once you can buy this tobacco products, you'll be able to continue, but if you changes before you turn 21, 18, whatever,
21.
21.
No, it said if you're born after 2004,
2004,
I think it
right.
was.
You won't be able to buy in Topsfield.
Yeah, so if you're 40 years from now, if you're born in 2005, you won't be able to buy
Still.
stuff in Topsfield.
That's right.
And so long way to go and a lot of discussions. I don't think anything is decided. I think it's far from decided.
Yeah.
Okay, any other motions?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are adjourned, 9:06.